What if I told you that just $100 a month, less than what most people spend on coffee and takeout, could turn you into a millionaire? Sounds crazy, right? But it's not magic. It's math. Compound growth is the secret weapon of wealth that most people ignore, and today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, why it's so powerful, and how you can use it to transform your financial future. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see how a tiny habit can snowball into $1.3 million, and I'll even give you the step-by-step plan to make it happen. Let's start with the big problem. Most people aren't building wealth. According to the Federal Reserve's latest data, the average American household has a net worth of about $746,000. But here's the kicker. Half of that is tied up in their home. Take away real estate and the median savings for retirement, a measly $87,000. That's not even enough to cover a decade of basic expenses, especially with inflation creeping up every year. Meanwhile, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics says the average person earns about $4,500 a month before taxes. So why aren't we all millionaires? Because most people spend almost everything they make, and they're missing out on the one thing that could change it all: compound growth. So what is compound growth? It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. You start with something small, say $100, and as it rolls, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger over time. In financial terms, it's when your money earns interest, and then that interest earns interest on itself. The longer it rolls, the more massive it gets. Albert Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. It's the difference between working for money and letting your money work for you. Let's break this down with a real example. Imagine you're 25 years old and you decide to put $100 a month into an investment, like a low-cost stock index fund. Historically, the stock market has averaged about 7% annual returns after inflation, according to data from the S&P 500 over the last century. So, you invest $100 every month and you let it grow. After 1 year, you've put in $1,200, and with 7% growth, you're at about $1,180. Not life-changing yet, right? But here's where it gets wild. After 10 years, you've invested $12,000 total, but your account is worth over $17,000. After 20 years, your $24,000 in contributions turns into $52,000. And if you keep going until you're 65, 40 years total, that $100 a month becomes $1.3 million. You heard that right. $1.3 million from just $100 a month. Now let's pause and reflect on that. You didn't need a six-figure salary. You didn't need to win the lottery. You just needed consistency and time. That's the power of compound growth. It rewards patience. But here's the catch. Most people don't start early enough. A 2023 survey by Bankrate found that 56% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency with savings. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, finding $100 a month might feel impossible. So let's talk about how to make this work for you, no matter where you're starting. First, let's look at your budget. The average American spends about $200 a month on dining out and $50 on subscriptions, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Could you cut back $50 from eating out and cancel that streaming service you barely use? Boom, there's your $100. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about redirecting money from stuff that disappears to something that grows. Think of it like planting a seed instead of eating it. Small sacrifices now can lead to a forest of wealth later. Next, where do you put that $100? You don't need to be a Wall Street genius. Open a brokerage account. Apps like Fidelity, Vanguard, or even Robinhood make it easy, and invest in something like an S&P 500 index fund. These funds track the 500 biggest companies in the US, and they've delivered that 7% average return over decades. It's not gambling, it's a proven, boringly reliable way to grow money. Set up an automatic transfer of $100 every month, so you don't even have to think about it. Consistency is key. Compound growth only works if you keep the snowball rolling. Now, let's address the doubters. What about market crashes, you might ask? Fair point. The stock market isn't a straight lineup, but over time, it recovers and grows. Look at 2008. The market tanked, but if you'd invested $100 a month starting then, you'd still have over $40,000 today, despite the crash. Time smooths out the bumps. The earlier you start, the more time you have to ride the waves. What if you're older, say 40? You can still make this work. You'll just need to tweak the plan. Bump it up to $250 a month, and with that same 7% return, you'd hit about $450,000 by 65. Not 1.3 million, but still a game changer for retirement. The point is, it's never too late to start, but the sooner, the better. Here's a practical tip. Increase your contribution as your income grows. Get a raise. Throw an extra $50 into that investment. Over time, those little boosts supercharge your growth. By age 65, even a few years of $150 or $200 a month could push you past the $1 million mark. It's not about how much you start with. It's about building the habit. So, what's the takeaway? Compound growth is your ticket to turning small money into big money, but it needs two things: time and action. Start with $100 a month, less than a Netflix subscription and a couple of pizzas, and let it grow. Cut one expense, automate your investing, and stick with it. In 40 years, you could be sitting on $1.3 million while the average person is still scrambling with $87,000. That's the difference between hoping for a comfortable future and building one. Here's your challenge. Look at your spending today. Find $100 you can redirect and take that first step. Open an account, pick a fund, and start the snowball. You don't need to be rich to get rich. You just need to start. If this opened your eyes to what's possible, hit that subscribe button. I'm here to help you make sense of money, one step at a time. Let's build that million together. See you in the next one.